Hello everybody, Glass Half Dead here, and today we're talking about how to fix the Kroot. Why am I talking about this? It's just a bit of a fun thought experiment. I'm not actually kind of trying to lobby for GW to actually change the Kroot. This is just some fun. I'm not saying anybody should actually play it this way. This is more a fun thought experiment for myself that I would like for you guys to join in. And also, you can just kind of see how... I'm also going to try and explain why I think the Kroot suck. And so hopefully, maybe if you're maybe a little bit new to Kill Team, you can hear what I'm saying and say, oh, okay, so that's what makes a good team and a bad team. It's not as straightforward as I originally thought. Yeah, otherwise, you could just listen to the sweet, sultry sounds of my voice complaining about stuff, because that's what I do. I have these here, but I printed everything off, so I was like totally ready to go. But I don't need these, it turns out, because it's on the screen. What am I going to be doing here? So I'm going to just go over the Kroot, because that sounds like fun. I'm going to say why they kind of suck, and why they are probably the worst faction in Kill Team. Those of you, some of you may be aware, I have done a worst faction in Kill Team, and I had said Genestealer cults. But then the majority of answers had been either Elicidian Star Striders or Kroot. Elicidian Star Striders recently won a pod at Nova, so everybody that said that was wrong, haha, yeah, I didn't say it though, so it's not me. Kroot do suck, and I'm going to tell you why. Then I have a 3-tier list for how to improve Kroot. The first the tier is like, I've decided on 3 changes that would make Kroot competitive, viable. Let's say viable. And with those, you know what, I'll go over them when I go over them. Anyway, let's discuss Kroot. A Kroot Carnivore. Okay? This is your bread and butter. It's not a particularly good model, but as it's the only one that doesn't have a restricted number on it, that is your bread and butter. So, let's go over it. So, 7-inch move is nice, obviously. Weapon skill 3, nice. Ballistic skill 4, meh, fine. Strength 3, toughness 3, 1 wound, 1 attack. Leadership 6. Leadership 6 is important. Keep that in mind. Save 6 plus, may as well not have a save. Good stuff. They could be a leader, a combat, a scout, a sniper, a veteran, and a zealot. You're not going to use most of those. Don't worry. Faction keyword is Kroot. We don't care about that. Also, we are obviously looking at this as the Kroot kill team, not is a Kroot Carnivore good with Tau, because anything's good with Tau. You could just like... I'm going to stop. I was going to say some really weird stuff there. And say anything could be good with... Yeah, okay. Right. The basic Kroot Carnivore is 6 points. It does have a Kroot rifle, which we do need to talk about. It's a bolter. Rapid fire 1, strength 4. 0 AP, damage 1, 24-inch range. However, in melee, it gives +1 to the strength. So all of your Kroot Carnivores are actually strength 4. So, the Kroot Carnivore is an orc. Same points cost. They're both 6 points, except the Kroot Carnivore has a 7-inch move instead of a 5-inch move. And a 4-up BS instead of a 5-up BS. But they are 1 less toughness. And 1 less attack. Okay. So they're comparable. You can see that GW probably, so obviously the Orc Boy and the Kroot Carnivore long ago came for 40k. But you can kind of see, even now, stacking the two data sheets next to each other, you can see where they took from some, added to another, and they're very comparable for the same points cost. Cool. Same save as well. Obviously, our save is, the Kroot Carnivore save is worse, in the sense that, yes, it's a 6+, however, it's, because we have a toughness of 3 instead of 4, we're going to be wounded more, so we're going to get to the armor save more, and we'll have to make more armor saves. And for anybody unaware, Orc Boys just get wrecked off the board. But they're T4. We are T3. Super painful. Super painful. So, Kroot Carnivore, very easy to be killed. Okay, Kroot Hound. 12-inch move. That's big. That's really nice. One of the fastest models in the game. However, still T3 with a 6-up save. a couple of things to note. Attacks 2, that's a bit better. They still have, well, okay, so you can have a maximum of 4. I believe the maximum of 4 here, again, if we're ignoring the 40k hangover, is that the Kroot Hound is just a better model. Assuming that you don't care about shooting, because obviously they can't shoot, they are just better. You do want to max out your 4 Kroot Hounds, definitely. And then you get 2 attacks, but they have a leadership of 5. Leadership of 5? Really bad. Leadership of 5 means with a single flesh wound, even if you have no out of action models, you can still break on a 6. Like that's bad. That's bad. But let's keep going. Now we go to the star. Oh, sorry. They also have Voracious Predator, which is add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this model that target a model that has any flesh wounds. Great, I guess. But your weapon skill's 3s. You don't care about hitting on 2s. You would have much rather have had a +2 strength, because these guys are strength 3 and they don't get a +1 to their strength from their weapon, unlike the Kroot Carnivore. So, you need those 2 attacks because you're basically wounding on 5s. Like, yeah. But fine. They could be a combat and a scout. I'll come back. I think that a Kroot Hound should always be a combat. But we'll come back to why later. Then we get the absolute star of the show, the Krootox Rider. This is the only model that is like a genuine damn. So firstly, let's suck all of the fun out of this kill team and say there is a max limit of 1. Again, it's a 40k hangover. Unfortunately, it neuters the kill team. But movement of 7. So this is a big model, 40mm base, if you don't know. But with a movement of 7, so just as good as the Kroot Carnivore. A 3-up and a 4-up, same as the Kroot Carnivore. Strength 6, what? Toughness 5, okay, I like it. 4 wounds, not bad. 2 attacks. Leadership is 6, save is 6. So again, bad leadership, bad save. But those 4 wounds are going to make sure that you can survive most, regular attacks. The second attack will kill you, but whatever. And you have Agile Brute. Adds 6 inches to this model's move characteristic for that movement phase when it advances, instead of rolling a dice. Cool. Obviously, this is actually really nice. If you take him as a combat and you focus on getting him into combat, turn 2. It means that you guaranteed, quick maths, a 13-inch move, turn 1. Which is very nice. But let's also take a look at his gun, because this is very relevant. So he gets the Kroot gun. 48-inch range, nice. So rapid fire 1. Now with a 48-inch range, you are almost always going to be in half range. So your base, you may as well be, just say, 2 shots. It's a 2-shot gun. Strength 7, that's good. AP -1, okay. Damage D3, also nice. And that's it. Oh, sorry, and his close combat, for anyone unaware, Krootox Fists, Strength of User, which is 6, AP 0, Damage 2. Now, the Damage 2 is pretty nice, obviously, less variable than his gun. But okay. Oh, also, the Kroot Hounds have a -1 AP to their attack. That will be relevant later. Sorry. Okay, so that's it. That is all the Kroot can take. Fine. Do we care? No, okay. Why are the Kroot bad? So, let's take a 100-point list. Because going from 100 to 125 points, really easy with them. You want to take the max of Krootox Riders, which is 1, and the max of Kroot Hounds, which is 4. There's no reason not to take those. Okay? Those are objectively better models than the Kroot Carnivores. So you want to max those out and then just fill in with Kroot Carnivores because that's the only other option you have. 1 Kroot Rider, 4 Kroot Hounds, and then 8 Kroot Carnivores makes almost exactly 100 points. But that's your 100-point list. And then to go to 125, you just add 4 more Kroot Carnivores. That's it. You don't have any building options. Why are Kroot so bad? Because of your leadership 6. They're squishy. Because they're T3 with a 6-up save, and they've got leadership 6. you're going to break turn 2. There you go. That is why Kroot are the worst team, because the chances are really, really strong that you just break turn 2. And there's nothing you can do about it. And it sucks. And you know what? Even if you get your Krootox Rider into the enemy lines and start pummeling the guys, you're going to break. Because that guy's only leadership 6. Oh, to break, sorry. To break, you will need to have, obviously, because you are a 13-man kill team. Yeah, that sounds right. At 100 points. At 125, you're 17. So you need to lose 9 models or take 9 flesh wounds. The problem is, unfortunately, that's quite easy to achieve by turn 2. And you're probably going to fail your test. And obviously, by that point, you will either have lost 9 models or you have 9 flesh wounds. If you have to take, break tests, you're probably going to fail. Because of that, even if you manage to stick around for a bit, and you're rolling lucky and the enemy's rolling poorly, and you're taking injuries instead of out of actions, you're kind of screwed. Odd as it may sound, you may have just looked at the Kroot Carnivore there and said, well, actually, okay, toughness 3, save 6 up, but that's tough. But, you clump them all together, you're like, well, I don't know, maybe it'll work out. It's the leadership that kills them. Because of the T3, every army has an easy answer for the only tactic you have, which is spamming bodies. It's a real shame. But let's take a look at the tactics, because maybe there's something here that will save us. Let's get one of them out of the way first. Agile Hunter. This is not one that's going to save us. Use this tactic when a model for your kill team moves in the movement phase. The model can leap over gaps less than 4 inches across instead of less than 2 inches across. For a CP. That's so terrible. Okay. Unfettered aggression is you get 1 more attack in that turn. In that phase, sorry, for a CP. Now it is on a model in your kill team, so it can be used on your Krootox Hound. That's not bad. Primal Savagery, not your Krootox Hound, sorry, your Krootox Rider. Primal Savagery is your Krootox Rider only, which is you can fight again. Now that is good for 1 CP, and of course you can mix those 2 together. So 2 CP, you're getting 3 attacks base, and if you make him a combat, he's 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, and he can, attacking twice, 8 attacks. Suddenly, that is good. That is a powerhouse. That will kill things, because he's strength 6, AP -1, damage D3. That's really strong. But obviously, you do have to get that Krootox Rider into combat. That's tough. Prestigious Trophy, 1 CP. If you kill somebody, you can give them automatically pass nerve tests if it's a Kroot Carnivore. So obviously, that is actually good. Which is crazy to say. It's crazy to look at automatically pass nerve tests for a CP and say, yeah, actually that's really good. Because the Kroot's worst, the thing that kills them is their leadership. Prestigious Trophy is actually worth the CP, which is nuts. That's not a fun thing to spend a CP on, but it's good. Tearing Jaws. Yep, so this is with the Kroot Hound. If you get to the injury roll, you can roll 2d6. And the beauty of this one, actually, for only 1 CP, is there are tactics like this. I want to say for the Necron Flayed ones, but there are tactics like this where you have to declare you're using it before you make the attacks. With this one, it's just, hey, are you attacking with the Kroot Hound? And you're about to make an injury roll? 1 CP. Roll 2d6. It's effectively a 2 damage weapon. That's actually pretty good. And then let's go over quickly Hyper Evolution. I'm just going to read it. It's 2 CP. It's the only 2 CP. 1. Use this tactic when a model from your kill team takes an enemy model out of action in the fight phase, and it is not within 1 inch of any other enemy models. This model may not move with a consolidated step. Add 1 to the model's move and strength characteristics until the end of the battle. So obviously that's really fluffy. For those of you that don't know, Kroot in the lore are carnivores. So what's happening here is he is eating the person that he just killed. And then apparently they evolve really fast. Like from whatever they eat, they kind of take on the characteristics of the things that they consume. However, you don't need +1 to move. And okay, +1 strength is always nice. But for 2 CP, you don't need +1 strength. You need leadership and you need AP. More attacks. You don't need strength. So, nice idea, not good. Especially not for 2 CP. And you don't need move at all. You're 7 inches already. So that's the Kroot kill team. That is the Kroot kill team. Again, I believe their main issue is lack of leadership. You're going to get shot off the board turn 2. I've already said all of that. I believe the way they should be run, in case you're wondering, specialist-wise, is... So the Krootox Rider, you could go 2 ways, combat or heavy. Personally, I think they should be a heavy and let everybody else get the close combat work done. And the Krootox Rider could just sit at the back. Because you're basically 24-inch range, you're going to be in half range, you're getting 2 shots a turn. You're hitting on 5s, admittedly. Now, if you do want to go combat with the Krootox Rider, keep in mind, obviously, your unfettered aggression and your primal savagery. Those are going to be the key tactics for you, and you will be good. If you can get into combat, really nice. I personally think he should be a heavy. I think a Kroot Hound should be a combat. And then the Kroot Carnivore should be a leader and a zealot. There you go. Or maybe a veteran. If you want a veteran, fair enough. Take a Kroot Carnivore. Obviously, when I'm discussing Kroot, I'm mainly talking about open. As with all squishy teams, their squishiness is naturally just reduced when they are in arena, because they don't get shot as much and they can actually close the distance easier. So I'm not really talking about that, because arena in general just kind of shifts the entire meta. That's Kroot. Most people consider them to be the worst faction in Kill Team. Fair enough. How would I fix them? So I've explained why they're bad. As a bit of a faction rundown, there's only one real way to run them. The only thing you're really changing out is, what that third Kroot Carnivore specialism is, and whether you want the Krootox Rider to be a combat or a heavy. That's it. There's no alternatives, really. So what would I do to change them? Okay. Hold on. I took notes, which is a first. I didn't take notes here. Okay, so I actually do think that the Kroot don't need much to be actually really competitive. This is my list of minimum changes. It's 3 things. I've tried to come up with these things to change their rules as little as possible. Well, okay, first off, they need leadership. If they were all leadership like 10, this wouldn't be an issue. However, because they're leadership 6 or 5, my god, we've got to think. First things first, and I think most people know this is an obvious one. Remove the Krootox maximum limit, or make it max limit 2. Okay? Allow the Kroot player to have the option to take 2 Krootox Riders. There you go. That just makes sense. Next, Hyper Evolution should be 1 CP. There's no reason for that skill to be 2 CP. However, I also think Hyper Evolution should also give +1 leadership. So it should be +1 movement, +1 strength, and +1 leadership. There you go. There you go. I think that is fair. I don't think that's crazy. And yes, I do think it should be giving the +1 leadership for 1 CP. Finally, and this is where I'm gonna throw you off the loop here. Maybe you're not gonna see this one coming. I believe that Dyak Grek should not have the commander keyword. That's right, guys. I didn't forget about him. It's very zoomed out, though. Let's zoom in a bit. Dyak Grek. Also, I believe he should be 15 points. I don't think he's worth 20. he kind of sucks. Let's have a read of what Diak Grek is, though. So he's movement 7, web skill 3, ballistic skill 3, strength 3, toughness 3. Exactly the same as a Kroot Carnivore. But he's now got 3 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 7. Same, good. We've got slightly better leadership. Save 6. He's got a Kroot pistol. It's just a strength 4 weapon. And then he has exactly the same Kroot rifle. Cool. He then also has some special abilities, which are Quarry Can't Hide. The model does not suffer the penalties hit rolls for that target being obscured. Okay, nice. Again, I don't think that's making him completely overpowered. Concealed booby traps is a narrative play thing, not a match play because it's about the scouting phase. And Fieldcraft. When an opponent makes a hit roll for a shooting attack that targets this model, and this model is obscured, an additional -1 to the hit roll. Okay. Cool. I don't think removing that commander specialism keyword would break the Tower kill team. Although, to be more specific, I do want the Kroot to be able to take a commander, so I don't actually want to remove the commander keyword. I just want Diak Grek in some way to be playable in regular kill team, but he can also be taken as a commander if you want. I think those 3 changes, Diak Grek could be taken, which gives you a leadership 7 model right from the beginning. You could take 2 Krootox Riders, and Hyper Evolution, 1 CP, and gives +1 leadership. I believe those 3 changes would make Kroot viable. Now, again, this is really just a thought experiment. What do you guys think about those 3 minimum changes? I think they would be fair. I think they're still super squishy. I do not think they would suddenly become top tier, but I think they would be on the field. However, for fun, let's also look at kind of the next step of changes. So, this is mainly focusing on the tactics now. Unfettered aggression, for those of you that have forgotten, gives +1 to the model's attacks characteristic for the rest of that phase. Cool. I think unfettered aggression should give +1 attack to whoever you're using it on for the rest of the game. And I think Agile Hunter, which is terrible, should give something else. In a similar vein to my change to the unfettered aggression, it should do something else for the rest of the game. You know, +1 to your AP or something like that. I don't know. But then it probably wouldn't be called Agile Hunter. I don't know. But, again, I'm riffing off the Hyper Evolution thing. Hyper Evolution is very fluffy. It's all about when it's about, and the Kroot are an army that adapt very fast. Why not make their stats reflect that? So you can upgrade, like they're pretty terrible. But for CP, you can give individual models additional rules, almost. I mean, not additional rules, but additional bonuses to their stat line to show that they are, fluff-wise progressing, advancing. You're paying for it. It's a CP. It's not happening to the entire team. It's one model. I think that's the way to go. Okay. Now, if we take it a step further and we look at maximum changes. Basically, maximum changes are just riffing off what I just said, but even more so. So every single tactic could be, you spend a CP to upgrade any of the stat line, or spend 2 CP to upgrade 2 stats, whatever. I just think it fits in with the Hyper Evolution. Obviously, GW knows that's how the kill team should be played. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given us Hyper Evolution. And it would just be pretty cool. However, that's a thing, right? That's a thing. Cool, whatever. They need sub-factions. What sub-factions should they be able to take? So that's actually, I think, kind of easy. They don't need 6, maybe. They don't need 8, We could just give them an option of 3 or 4. So I reckon One of the sub-factions should be the whole team gets Diak Grek's special ability of Fieldcraft. There you go. That is a super good sub-faction. I don't think it's broken. But I think suddenly people are going to say, oh yeah, actually, you know, I can suddenly see that maybe Kroot are viable with that sub-faction. And then, you know, two other sub-factions. Maybe one of them gives them all a boost in shooting. So, I don't know, the whole... If you take this sub-faction... maybe something a bit weird, like... If you advanced this turn, you can reroll ones in the shooting phase. You know, something a bit funky, right? And then another one would be kind of similar, but for melee. Like, on the turn you charge, reroll ones. Something like that. The other thing, actually, I have the Tau Empire Codex. For those of you that don't know, I didn't know this till I started looking about it and thinking about the Kroot kill team. Kroot Carnivores. Okay. Hold on. Right. Okay, so, Krootox Riders get Agile Brute. Krootox Riders in this codex get Agile Brute. Kroot Hounds get Voracious Predator. Kroot Hounds in this book get Voracious Predator. They do the same things. Kroot Carnivores in here don't get a special rule. Kroot Carnivores in here do get a special rule. Do you know what they get? Stealthy Hunters. For those of you, it's the taking advanced positions that the infiltrators for the Space Marines from Elites get. So you could deploy anywhere on the battlefield outside of 9 inches from the enemy. Imagine if the Kroot Carnivores got that. Because of that, I can totally understand why they removed that from the Kroot. I get it. Fair. But maybe a sub-faction could give all of your Kroot Carnivores Stealthy Hunters, so that they are able to do that. How about that? Now, chances are they would then be too strong. And I do think that if you applied every single thing I've said here, they would be a pretty tough faction. I'm not really proposing that they get every single suggestion here. I haven't really thought how making all of these suggestions at the same time would affect the army. I do think the minimum changes I suggested, the 3 minimum changes, would be really good. However, I don't know how those would stack with sub-factions and completely revamping all of the tactics. I'm not suggesting that. However, let's go in for the final one, the kill, if you will. The one that I suspect most people are going to rally against, or rail against. So these guys, I think they should get another unit. Some of you could probably guess what it is. It's from the Tau Codex. Vespid Stingwings. That's not going to focus. But, obviously Vespid are not Kroot. I'm aware of that. But, why can't we just call this faction auxiliaries? I don't know. Vespid are crazy. These guys are super good. They're 14 points, right? 14-inch move. Web skill, ballistic skill 4. Strength 3. Toughness 4. 1 wound, 1 attack. Leadership 5. So they have the negatives there. But it's a 4-up save. The gun is 18-inch. Assault 2. Strength 5. AP minus 2. Imagine if the Vespid were included for the Kroot. I think they'd be really good. Anyway, there you go. This has been my thoughts on the Kroot kill team. Why they suck. Lack of leadership. Too squishy to survive the lack of leadership. There you go. How to fix them in a very easy, basic way. Like, I genuinely think anyone that really loves Kroot, if you just make those 3 minimal changes, which, to say them again, were, the Krootox limit should be 2, Hyper Evolution should be 1 CP and give a leadership, and be allowed to play Diak Grek in regular games and making 15 points. There you go. Easy. Easy. And suddenly, I think that is a valid kill team. There you go. Those are my thoughts on Kroot. What do you guys think? Do you think I'm way off base? Do you think that actually maybe Kroot don't need that much? Maybe Kroot don't need those 3 changes. Maybe they need a different 3 changes. Maybe I'm completely way off base about why they're bad. I'd be genuinely interested. What do you guys feel is the minimum or the minimal amount of change somebody can make to Kroot to make them a valid kill team? Don't get me wrong. You could go crazy and say, oh, well, they need all of this crap, and they need all of this, and I just completely redo the stat lines, and add Vespid, and actually let's add a Hammerhead tank just for good measure, and suddenly they're a good kill team. Yeah, of course they are. But what do you think is the minimal, the absolute least you could do to the Kroot faction to make them viable? Not overpowered, not, viable for competitive. They don't need to be OP. They don't need to be the new Tau. They don't need to be Tyranids even. Just viable. I'd actually be really interested to know. There you go. Anyway, this has been a fun little rant, a fun little theory exercise about Kroot, and just the game in general. Yeah, I hope you've enjoyed as well. This has been Glass Half Dead. Let me know your thoughts. And I hope you've had a good day and continue to have a good day. Goodbye.